Good evening. Good evening indeed. I did send it out as a thing. I don't know whether it's got to anybody or not. So you can let me know if you received a notification from this afternoon. So I did send one out. So what I want to start with tonight is something called the digital dollar. Now, I don't know whether you've heard of this, you guys, or not, but this has been pushed out under the first lockdown. So it's rather revealing, to be quite honest. Good evening to you all. It doesn't look like anybody got notifications, am I correct? Because I did send one out this afternoon early, just to see if that works. But I don't know. You did, you got one. All right, so it works. All right, well, that's fine. So the digital dollar. Let's have a look. So it's a bill, and this is obviously in the Senate of the United States, and the short title is, "This Act may be cited as the Banking for All Act." So in this act, we're going on definitions. Digital dollars. The term digital dollars means dollar balances consisting of digital ledger entries recorded as liabilities in the accounts of any Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, so here we're dealing with figures on computer screens. It's not. That's basically what a digital dollar is. It's nothing other than the movement of figures. So people at the moment seem to be stuck as to we have no other option but to follow the lead of these lunatics by bending over backwards, wearing masks, staying in the kennel, and now what they want you to do is join the world of the digital dollar. Now, the second definition is something called a digital dollar wallet. The term digital dollar wallet means a digital wallet or account. So it's actually an account, if we want to put it into layman's terms, maintained by a Federal Reserve Bank on behalf of any person. Now, person, distinctly speaking here of person, yeah, not man. So we're dealing with person. And it says for the purpose of holding digital dollar balances. So these digital dollar wallets are accounts that will hold these digital dollar balances, and it will be maintained by a Federal Reserve Bank on behalf of any person. Now, let's not forget, corporations are also a person. All right. Third definition is member bank. The term member bank means any national bank, state bank or trust company which has become a member of one of the reserve banks created by the Federal Reserve Act 12 USC 221. Okay, so a member bank is another bank, whether that's state, national, a trust company that has actually become a member of one of these. So you have to join this. Okay. Now, the fourth definition is pass-through digital dollar wallets. It says the term pass-through digital dollar wallet means a digital wallet or account maintained by a member bank on behalf of any person, entitling that person to a pro rata share of a pooled reserve balance that the member bank maintains at any Federal Reserve Bank. So you're not so much joining this bank to put your money in. You're going to be given sort of a share of this pooled reserve balance. Now, so we've done definitions. Now we go to just down it in general. And this is obligations of member banks. It says, number one, in general, member banks shall open and maintain pass-through digital dollar wallets for all persons, including persons eligible to receive payments from the United States pursuant to a federal law relating to the coronavirus disease 2019, who elect to deposit funds into pass-through digital dollar wallets. So, let's create a new term that we can use if we so choose. And let's use the term bug money. Because all these bailouts that they've given themselves, that the governments have then borrowed from, and then they're dishing out to everybody who's happy to close the business and take the money. So they're getting you into that method. So can you see what this is sort of starting to reveal? This digital dollar. So maintenance of assets. In general, each member bank shall establish and maintain a separate legal entity for the exclusive purpose of holding all assets and maintaining all liabilities associated with pass-through digital wallets. So they're to create a separate legal entity for the exclusive purpose of holding these assets that are going to be in this these digital wallets or these digital accounts. Contents. The assets of any entity described in subparagraph A, so that's the digital wallets that we've just discussed, shall consist exclusively of a balance maintained in a master account at a Federal Reserve Bank, and the liabilities or obligations of the entity shall consist exclusively of an equal quantity of balances maintained by holders of pass-through digital wallets. So what's that saying basically is there's going to be no loans involved in these accounts. That's interesting. So there's no loans going to be included in this, just liabilities. And hang on, I might have gone beyond myself there. So now the important thing to this is this system works via an app. So first you have to download this app to become a part of this system. Okay. So capital and wait a moment. I'm getting ahead of myself. So C, capital or liquidity regulation. The assets and liabilities of any legal entity described in subparagraph A, which is the digital wallet, shall not be deemed assets or liabilities of the member bank or its affiliates for purposes of any capital or liquidity regulation promulgated by the federal or state banking authorities. So whatever's in these partner banks to the Federal Reserve, whatever assets they hold in that bank aren't to be seen as belonging to that bank. So that then will prevent a bank from lending money without it's not a lend system, so to speak, apart from now you can start to understand why they've been bigging up entrepreneurs, because these are chosen people that the bankers are choosing, that they're going to mentor up to earn them lots and lots of money, and they will be lending them the money to do it. So as we've discussed with the recent takeover of the ASDA by a kafir front now, they're moving the kafir to front what we see as Jewish financial power. These guys have just been mentored up to be billionaires. Now, Muslims believe that God's given. It's not. This is the trap. This is where you get sucked in. So this is where the West has been got sucked in centuries ago. You're now being sucked in live, you know. by this method. So these systems are not set up to be basically like you know and understand a bank today, where you can go in and get a loan, you can go in and get a mortgage, etc. So it's a completely different system, totally, and it's based in, well, basically nothing, because the Federal Reserve can actually just print money at will, charge you what it says you owe it, whether you owe it or not, if you have joined and download this Federal Reserve app. So it's a little bit outrageous. This is the one world digital currency. You can see that's what they're putting in place. And of course, everybody's wondering which colour mastiff to wear to go with the shoes now. So they're not even anywhere near picking this kind of stuff up. So capital, and so then we go to section 5, which is in general. So it says all Federal Reserve banks shall, not later than January the 1st, 2021, so that's around the corner, make digital wallets available to all residents and citizens of the United States and to businesses domiciled in the United States. Oh dear. Securities and Exchange Commission. Everything is on there in the West. It's all on and in the United States. So let's see how they're going to do this. Let's get an insight as to how they're going to play this, because they're actually already playing it as we speak. So the Coca-Cola has just bought Costa. Okay, we know that coffee is rising as the new addiction, as they throw everybody off alcohol. Okay, so we knew that when Whitbread bought it. Whitbread brought that way before coffee became as excitable as it is today. So Whitbread bought that in the 90s and then sold it well before this COVID kicked off, of course, because they wouldn't have been able to deal with this. They'd have lost everything on it. The shareholders wouldn't have accepted that. So Coca-Cola, being the monster it is, has bought it. You've got McDonald's. These are all American companies, and these are the ones shoving in the test and trace. So this app that they've got you downloading to dictate how you live, what pills you have to take, whether you have to stay in the kennel. Do you know what I'm saying? That's one app. Okay, so it's going to tell you every morning whether you're ill. And these masks that they're putting up now, this is part of this track and trace, full surveillance credit system that we know exists in China. So now they're going to want you to download this Federal Reserve app. And it's going to be available to all. Because what isn't in the Securities and Exchange Commission, do you know, that matters to the populations? Well, the Temple Crown isn't in because it's an unincorporated company sitting at the top of all this. So can you see that picture forming there? So they've got the one app for the bug, and then they've got another app for the bug money, based on absolutely nothing, apart from the fact that the Federal Reserve can print numbers when they want. They're going to have partner banks, which is all these banks that they've bailed out, by the way. You know, are you starting to connect that dot? So all these bailouts, our governments have gladly borrowed on our behalf, given to these failing banks, only to then become members of the Federal Reserve System. And as we've just seen, they are not going to be they're not going to own the assets within the banks. They're tied to the Federal Reserve, and they'll each be allocated a specific balance, which will be made up or whatever each month. They can't go beyond because the balances are going to be equal. So there's no loans and such going to be given. So basically, to operate financially in this system, you're going to have the apps. You're going to have the COVID app. You're going to have the Fed app. You're going to have the toilet app so that it tells you when you can and can't go to the toilet, like they did in primary school. And putting your hand up is no good. There's nobody looking until you press the phone button. Then everybody's looking. The little monster that everybody carries around. And I'm surprised people don't kill themselves walking around glaring at the phone with mask on. It's a strange map, as we learned the other day from our good friend Adam, that everybody is orienteering their life on, as it were. Meanwhile, in the real world, you go up on a hill, the world's fine, everything's good. Birds are singing, clouds are fluttering by. Yeah, the geoengineering and all that, but in general, there's nothing wrong with the world's fine. The issue, the problem, is the map. Everybody's map. And because you're all watching the television, you're all pretty much operating on the same map. And it doesn't matter whether it's flat or round, pink or blue. You're all on the same map, and it's neither the ball that we think it could be or the flat earth, because Game of Thrones has shown us an ice wall. Can you see how ridiculous it's actually going? And I mean, especially after, if you have watched that, the interview I did with Adam, the guy just puts it so simply. It's amazing. And, none of the others who go out there are giving it that. And that's what you need to recognise about Adam. He's giving. He's giving, and he didn't once mention his website. Did you notice that? Adam weren't out for Adam in that interview. Adam were out to help you see where we're at, and more importantly, where the hell it's going. And I think, and I hope, that what we've just looked at there will spur you on to further investigate that, because this is exactly where it's going. And let's be frank, if that is the case, as it is, the only thing we all need to do is throw away the iPhone. Throw it away. What do you need it for? What do you need to? Why can't you just get a computer like you used to have and do your day's work, whatever you're doing, and with your little telephone so you can ring and text, and do all your internet work when you get home, instead of being constantly attached to Facebook, to WhatsApp, to Instagram, to Google, to YouTube even. I mean, YouTube is a great medium, but they are destroying it, The censors are coming, and nothing but the system that these apps are going to tell you, okay. I mean, there's going to be an app in a bit. You have Googled the wrong thing today. You've lost 4,000 credits. And in China, what they're saying then, you'll get a message, well, if you want to get your credits back, you've got to go and help 5 old women cross the road, feed ducks and chickens. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of system that they're building, built in China and being used in China. So you're losing and gaining credits just based on your everyday actions. And if cameras in your phone picks you up bumping into somebody or just doing anything that is deemed not right, you'll lose credits and then be given a plethora of nonsense to keep you occupied to get it back. It's not good. It's really not good at all, is it? Let's be fair. So you can see why they're killing off the old school at an alarming rate, and they're about to do it again through this winter season as they try to lock us down, while the MERS pretend that they're all on your side, but constantly keep, we're going to do a legal challenge. Well, that's going to go nowhere. Is this a legal challenge? The big cheese in the legal is the government. So if you're going to go all legal for any kind of move against the regulations as given out by Boris the Defeffel, you're onto a loser before you start, because that decision will be decided in Salford by MI5 the minute you put the case in. So nonsense, absolute garbage. Let's not listen. Well, at least if you're listening to them, at least recognise that they're just pulling you into giving support to these MERS by pretending that they're on your side, but they're nothing of the sort. The only offer on the table from them is let's go illegal. Forget it. It's a waste of time, and it will cost the taxpayer money. So let's see things in these ways, because that's exactly how it's working, and this is exactly the game that they're playing. Not to mention what they're possibly going to start to do in these schools while they've got your children. And just as another update, the video I put up a month or so ago of the mother angry of her daughter being vaccinated at school, there's been updates, and it was the case. And as I found out pretty quickly, it was just to me that it was the HPV and that the daughter had actually given permission, which is the way the NHS are operating. So it brought that to your attention as well. You know, there's a lot going on against you at the moment as a family unit, but especially your children. And then this city and bug money. So that seems to be as we head into autumn. The harvest they hope to reap at our expense if you are foolish enough to get the app, get the test, and track and trace in Costa Coffee or any other American establishment that's pushing it as the only way you can get a product. Yeah, because you go with that, it'll just get worse and worse and worse. Then you'll have to prove your vaccinations, your medical, your criminal record, all in your chip, in your eyeball. So I've rabbited there. I've got through what I wanted to. Let's have a look and see what's going on out there. Right, that's good to know that you did get actually notifications. So I'm glad of that. Shows it works. Philadelphia, hello there, disciple of the Messiah. Philadelphia, very important place in America, by the way. Very important. The Postmaster General there, that seems to have done a run there like ours. I think that might be the case. Yes, central bank digital currency on its way to a cinema near you. With the popcorn, it costs a fortune. Staking. Evening, brother. PY Music, hello. Good evening. Where have I gone? Hit the thumbs up. Support for Sean. Does that do something good? A thumbs up. Get your thumbs up going. Anybody? It helps. Evening, brother. Banks can proceed. Well, you go into banks today, and it's like the staff are permanently on guard as though they're in some kind of asylum, and that everybody that's coming in is potentially a serious threat. It's quite bizarre. So who knows what's being pumped up into them on the NLP courses that they're being sent on. And I have noticed, such as McDonald's, they do seem to be fronting now their stores with a lot more Muslims connected to this kafir front, unwittingly. So they're pushing that system as a front to the front. You know, you can see it, it's as plain as day to me. It's not going to be an easy one for Muslims to recognise, unless they are real Muslims, then they should be quite easy to recognise. But then money's always that, well, there's money coming in, innit? You know, bad game. New boats for us, but one of that, see commerce. Well, yeah. But notice it's all throughout that document, it's only talking of person. It's very specific. Person. Remember, all this system of person has been built on the fact that they hold our estates ransom. And, you know, a big part of this vaccination is because they are now at that point. You see, like before the Second World War, they set up, they bankrupted everything, set up the new fiat currency, etc., ready, which were launched after the cull we know as the Second World War. So they were at a time where they needed to kill the creditor. The creditor in question back then was Germany, let's be frank about it, and Russia, and big swathes of Europe. When you actually get to grips of the Second World War, Britain didn't play that big a role in it, apart from bombing the living daylights out of it, which wasn't good. It destroyed Dresden because of its architecture. I mean, if you ever wanted evidence that civilization up to, let's say, even 1400s was far superior. You only needed to look at cities in Germany to see where we came from, which is what they've been hiding all these centuries, so that they can present this idea that where we're heading is an evolution of our civilization, of our culture, of everything. It's not. It's an absolute debasement of everything that's ever been before. And every culture, if you study it, they all have their own version of this antagonist that we're supposed to be fighting, not joining it, because it's offering glittering things and pets mean prizes. Who owns the vapes? Now that's an interesting one again. My brother got into that when they first came out, and the first thing I said is that's one of the best ideas I've ever heard. Let me have a look into it. So I had a look into it, and first things you start to realize is that there's a big part of its guts that you can't make yourself. It comes via pharmaceutical. Now, they sort of get lads to sideline that early on by making it, look, you can make your own flavours, you can do this. So basically they felt like they were actually making the entire chemical concoction themselves and it was safe. So when I looked into it, and this is when they first came out, and I did write a report about it, one chemical in particular, by a stroke of luck, the farmers have been going mad about it for about 10 years. So there's a massive amount of data already in relation to this chemical, because they've been forced to put it in the animal feed, or it was being put in the animal feed before they purchased it. So they didn't like the idea of this chemical, and they were correct not to be. It was lethal. And I can't remember the exact, but somewhat glycerate or something like that. So when I looked into it, I thought, yeah, that's terrible. And then there was another chemical that I had to look at, which had the term vegetable before it. So when I looked into that, it was actually the same chemical that was lethal, but at a lesser strain. And of course, they put vegetable in front of it just to put you off again, divert your attention from that fact. And when you got to nitty gritty of what the farmers were saying with this chemical, when you actually looked at its chemical structure and the effects, the most lethal way you could ingest it was by inhaling the fumes when it was burnt. So naturally, I promoted from the get-go that these things are lethal and you really don't want to be playing with them. And I think that's proved itself correct now. I mean, we know they pot in the lungs, so they pit in the lungs. I had an associate that I think he was like 18 months, and he got up one night and he couldn't breathe. And he knew it was that immediately, and he stopped. But he had asthma after that. So that's in UK. I know that a lot of the problems that we've seen and known about are in America. But it is these chemicals that are not in the mix in relation to you mixing your own chemical. That you really need to work out and understand. It doesn't matter, you're only mixing flavours and nonsense. The guts of it is medical nicotine. Medical, yeah. And this other chemical that's been divided up by two names to obviously hide the fact. So there's a bigger amount of it in there than they're presenting. And that'll be deliberate, of course, because it is quite deadly. So that was actually a good chant there, mate, because a lot of people smoke those things now. David Treat, a senior managing director, Accenture's blockchain business, serves on the board of directors for the Linux Hyperledger project, Global Blockchain Business Council, and the ID 2020 Alliance. Yeah, I mean, the blockchain and Bitcoin specifically, when that came out at first, I did a report, look, and I just basically said, this is the carrot to move your minds into operating digital currencies. And it was picked up. It was picked up by the finance boys because they pretty much could see that was the case. But it was birthed, and a lot of people swear by it. But if you think about it, that was the perfect means of getting people to start to understand how it works, to promote it, and to use it as though they were actually an entrepreneur on the stock market. Now, that's fine if they're going to allow this blockchain system to be a part of this federal system. And I haven't seen any documents that even suggest such. There are other versions of it as well. I forgot, there is one that's not actually a blockchain. I forgot what it's called. But that's another one that's being used. But you can see that that is the case. They set all that going so that the new minds would get into that and start to use it. And then it would slowly filter out that it's available. I mean, I've even had a look at it myself, you know. But then I think what stopped me is these platforms that you download. I looked at the rules, terms and conditions, and they were ridiculous. I just thought, so no. And they would ring you up and emailing you, why are you not doing this as well? Terms and conditions, though. And they just have to go, yeah. So again, if you actually look at them terms and conditions, because that's what you're signing into, that should tell you whether you want to go wasting your time with a lot of these companies. Do it yourself? I think, is there any reason you couldn't actually set your own system up and blockchain broker yourself, kind of thing? I don't know. But yeah, the ID 2020. So all this app stuff, you know, and you can see you've got the test and trace, and now we've got this digital Fed app for the digital dollar built on your estates. You know, you're never going to access any of that after this system goes in, because you'll always be a person. You're never going to reach the jurisdiction you'd have to reach in order to secure your assets as a man. You know, the ultimate beneficiary or administrator, executor of the trust. Instead of having these monkeys, you know, your military, your navy, your government, your crown, all these numpties are acting as fiduciary for your estate, and then giving you a birth certificate, which is basically a debt account to that system based on your estate. So they're the debtors that have got you to become the debtor. So they've already got that together. So it's right now for this system to go in based on nothing, owned by these people. There's no need for mining. There's no need for any. It sort of negates the entire day-to-day of almost everybody that's going to be left that don't take the vaccine. And that's an interesting one I was thinking about the other day as well. The secrets of Fatima. I mean, back in the day, a lot of people thought they were a fraud. And I have to say, I think they are. Because if you wanted to create a script to keep everybody in the consequences and fear aspects of life instead of the moving, then to put this terror out there and then set it so that no matter what you do from that point on, nothing's going to stop this, and even good people are going. That is the ultimate. It's an amazing weapon to keep you in the avoidance of consequence and the fear. It's, you know, because when I read that some years ago, I think it was when I found a guy called Malachi Martin, who I found to be extremely interesting. There's a lot of argy-bargy about this guy. Well, he was a Jesuit for a start, so that should tell you something. But I think a lot of what he was writing about back then it's come to pass. We know that it's a fact. It's there, unless he was script writing. But that's where I came across the Fatima secrets, and I had to think myself. I thought something doesn't feel right about that. It really doesn't feel right, and it didn't feel right to me. And then I found that it was classed. It weren't released because people thought it were an hoax, and it was just a fear, which it were a fear. But there were points in it that sort of made you think, well, yeah, if that had have happened, then maybe. But if you look at it at its highest sort of protocol, it's actually a massive weapon, because it removes hope. It removes the reason to go into get out there and make things happen. Because all of a sudden you've been given this doctrine that basically says the highest authority that has said, fuck it, game over, you've all had it. You know, it's like... So, yeah, you look at that again, another programming. mechanism, and it affected, well, there's over 1 billion Catholics, isn't there? And that came out in 1917. It's a long time out, that, and put that fear of everything into everybody. And then you got the wars as well, so it's just cementing this as a real prophecy. Well, it says to me like it were a script released and then acted into a prophecy, perhaps. I don't know. But you can see it all working to this end now. You're giving up manhood and keeping everybody on person, but even a secondary person in the birth certificate. So yeah, it's all coming together and making sense, isn't it, to be honest? David Treat also serves as the program advisor for the World Economic Forum Digital Identity Initiative and the Non-Traveller Digital Project. Yeah, they've got quite a lot of front men, if you start looking into this, who are taking on quite a lot. This Van Tam, he's an odd fella. I mean, he should be in jail, this fella. And he's paraded himself around over here in Britain, in England, lording it over England and Wales. This guy covered up mass murder with his best mate. These guys who are they? These people, people who need to start to ask those questions. Not, oh, okay, we'll go along with everything you say, Gulf. Because we're moving into this, and a big part of it is destroying your business, and you're doing it yourself every time you. Because if you've shut now in north of England, on the back of this nonsense that Boris has put out, you are destroying your own livelihood. And to come back in, you're going to have to install this stuff, these apps. This is what it's about. Just snap out of it. You've got a business, a viable business. People are coming in and they're buying, they're purchasing. You don't need that commerce interfering, adding costs, and then telling you what to do. And then moving into this system whereby if they don't like you, they'll just switch it off. But yeah, the smartphone, get rid of it. Get rid of the smartphone. What do you actually need the smartphone for? You don't need to be on the internet in the day. Surely not. The convenience side of things that people have took on is really the destructive aspect of everything. The convenience used in supermarkets. It's given almost total control of the food import. We have to start looking at ourselves and thinking this running off in escaping consequences is the mechanic that's pulling everybody off reality and dancing to this fantasy that's ultimately destroying everything. It's got to be seen in those terms. And this is where I think what Adam's bringing to the fore is extremely important, because you just give it a bit of thought yourself and you can start to see where you are falling for it in parts, and it'll reveal itself and expand that revelation as you give it attention. And it's the most basic way of giving it to people, and that's what I like about our man Adam. Yeah, time is short on YouTube, I would suggest. And they've got rid of a lot on QAnon now, haven't they? I mean, I've never gone for that anyway. It's not something that I've supported. I just see it as a load of private security just bigging up this this Trump the hero, and that's what they're doing. And of course, some of these QAnons losing the channels just supports that the deep state's attacking Donald Trump. He's probably doing a lot of good in America, and I don't know. But if you look at what he's doing in the Middle East and what he's done for 4 years, if he's doing good in America, it's not for America. It's so that when it gets handed over to Israel, which he probably did in the Abrahamic Accords, they're only doing it up for the priesthood. The priesthood that's going to run the religious side of this one world system. That's another thing completely. But it's that method that's dragging the titles. Because they've had to drag it off the religious institution, which was the Vatican. We're running out of time, people, and they've got a lot of toys to throw into the mix to, persuade you to their way, yet to be played out. But this vaccine is a worrying one because it's a great way of killing the creditor. Let's be frank about that. They've no need really to go to war, a physical war as you'd expect in like World War II and Afghanistan and Iraq and such. It's a financial war, and it's whoever is going to be running this AI that's going to be controlling these apps. They're going to control all, and it's like they pretend that there's an East-West, China versus America race for this AI, but come on. We can see now who controls America, same force that controls China. As at government level we're talking about. We're not talking about people in general, but of course, as it takes over your mind, as you jump onto it, then it is taking over the populations as well, because you're becoming it. So that's how subtle this stuff is. And of course, being as busy as people are just surviving, you don't really have time to contemplate these things. You're just it's mantra mechanic being thrust down your neck through the television, through the radio, and any other form of digital media or media in general that you're actually looking at. It's in everything because they all own it all now. There's no such thing as separate, apart from people like me who really aren't tied into anything or anybody. I mean, I'll probably not be doing anything for quite a while now because I'll be off now to earn some pennies. And of course, I can't really give this much time. So we've had a good spurt in this last couple of weeks, and I've been grateful for it. I think we've got out some good information, but now I need to concentrate on what's the reality of the world, what's real, which is no spondulics, no pay the rent, So this is life. That's the way it is. But I'm not jumping on their bandwagon. I'm self-employed. I don't want digital money. They fed digital worthless shit. I don't care where they want to download it. I don't want it. Keep it. I'd rather have something that's real. Tokenize ourselves before they can. But the thing is, we can actually use anything as a form of money. If we all decide it's got value, and if we base it on our labour, which is the only real value, it's the only real money that exists, not even gold. But the silver is the best one because it's more widely available, which is why they had to get America off the silver dollar and onto the gold standard. So silver is the better metal if you want to base a money system than gold, because it's far more widely available. And of course, you need all the gold for your mobile phones and your computers, your processors. And another thing they're filling everybody's lives with is lithium. These lithium batteries, they're quite lethal. The lithium itself is lethal. It's cobalt. Cobalt's in all this technology as well. And cobalt bombs, it's not good. I mean, there's quite a few suggesting that the intention is to blow the living daylights out of Israel with cobalt weaponry, so that the fleeing Israelis will be coming across Europe to be treated and spreading this sickness that comes from cobalt across Europe. Again, that's another feasible option for why they're setting up this scapegoat bug. Now with bug money, bug medical and bug money. It's going to be big. It's going to be the next big thing, Great for me. Yeah, you're more than welcome, my friend. But the more people that get into looking at what it is, because again, it's dependent on the download. It's all about the download. If people don't download these apps, it can't work. It doesn't matter how much money they spent on it. If people don't join by downloading the app, their systems don't work. That's how easy it would be if people would just take a bit more willpower into play and say, well, fuck it, I don't need my bloody smartphone all day. I can have a phone, get back to texting, get back to ringing up, but have a computer at home or a smartphone at home maybe, and use your computer sessions there. I mean, a normal PC is a lot safer than a smartphone in relation to frequencies dished out, you know? And you're getting constant LED from your phone. See, I have the screen on my glasses to block the UV. I've even got myself some for driving for night because they're just glasses plain because I'm good at seeing distance. It's just short up, I can't see right. But half an hour into driving at night on a motorway, and I'm going nuts with LEDs coming this way. So I got myself some glasses just with the screen on. Amazing, absolutely how you'd expect. So I finished that journey, which were about 2-hour journey, the last one, and it was fine. There were none of that headache, intense pressure all at front lobes because I weren't staring into UVI LED lights coming back. So I would recommend that to anybody because they are wrecking the retinas in all the installation of LED lights, and you do need to be aware of this, especially when you're all putting them in your house. You know, I'm a builder, I refurb properties, and I won't have LEDs in my house to sit in. No, thank you very much. It's wrecking your retina, you know, and you need to be aware of this stuff. Because when your eyes go. Can you imagine having a blind population? It'd be easy to pick you off. You just, you know, but you've got to look at what's happening here. That it's all on attack through every method they can actually get. So everything they own as a product, they are one way or another poisoning it. So mattresses, babies' mattresses, full of fire retardant. It's deadly. It's like an organophosphate, which if you take Mark Purdy did his word, and I have to say I do and did, he's dead, they killed him, was the cause, the organophosphates was the cause of the CJD outbreak because farmers were forced to put it on the spines of the cattle, I think twice a year. And they killed him for it. You know, but on the back of that, this is all down to health and safety nonsense, policy, health and safety policy, because it's not law, it's all policy. So everything, by every method they can, they're trying to make you ill so you service the medical. You need the medical system. You know, everything's meant to break now. It's planned obsolescence. Yeah. Everything's planned to break. Obsolescence is the word I'm looking for. The light bulb, prime example. The original light bulb that they first made is still going. They had a conference sometime early 1900s to say they had to change the light bulb because it were a once only buy, a once only purchase. So they did. They planned to obsolete it so that you had to keep buying new ones. And then they've done that slowly in everything, all products that you buy. You might not know that, but back in the day when I was growing up, my generation, my grandparents were cross as hell about how nothing was made to last anymore because it was all Japanese imports. They didn't like Japan back in them days, especially they've had the brothers that were fighting in Burma. So yeah, that created a real hatred of Japan, especially because they were flooding. But I have to say, Japanese goods back in the day were amazing. They were good, but so were England, made in England. They were top-notch goods. They didn't break, you know. And now everything breaks. Everything is only meant to last. That's why they want your old cars off the road. They want all these new ones, so that the software eventually will be that the police can stop your car or any private security numpty. So that means anybody that's IT savvy can create their own software to stop people's cars and God knows what. Yeah, so this technology is worrying, especially because there's a new elite of it. So unless you're IT savvy, this system is just, my God, what is it? But if you do get IT savvy, you can do some things with this technology as it gets pushed in as well. Propylene glycol, that is exactly what I'm speaking of. So you check this out. I did do a report on my site. I can put it up actually if you want when this live stream goes on YouTube. Yeah, you'll be surprised. But that product, the farmers have been going mad about for about 10 years. So it's probably 20 years now because it was being put in the animal feed that we eat. Organophosphates on the beef that they were putting on back then that we ate. You know, they're attacking you from every angle to actually break your body, your system, so that they can make money by constantly repairing it. But they never repair it, do they? They just manage it. You know, they don't solve the problem. They don't make you from ill to healthy. They manage the issue. And it's the first point of call for them nowadays is steroids. What did I go for? I had a lung infection. Bloody hell. Anyway, so I did the thing. I spent a fortune on natural stuff and basically got it back to right. So when I went into my doctors, which probably haven't been in there for maybe 15 years, it was a nurse I saw, and she said, we just want to check that you're all in good order. So I took my blood pressure, all these kind of things, and then I've lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? No, that's gone. I've completely forgot what I was talking about. And there were a point to that. Oh, never mind. Yeah, glad. Well, is it glad? Okay, no, I'm not talking about that one, but it might be Monsanto. Now that's interesting as to why Bayer's bought it. You wouldn't think that it would be worthwhile to buy Monsanto by any company given its track record and the amount of money it's paid out. I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but I was quite surprised. But it made me understand fully why Bayer will buy Monsanto, because it's worth a fortune for other reasons. If I can pull that video out, I will watch it and maybe we can discuss it, because it was very interesting as to why Bayer have bought Monsanto for future, for how they're going to use the chemical in question in the future. I don't think there's going to be any easy game in this next phase of things. Nostradamus were clear that there's going to come a point where everything on paper is worthless. So you're only going to own what you own that's physical. You know, that's... So the way to look to counteract that is you need to start growing your own food. You need to keep chickens. You need to start learning some of the old ways again. It's things are going to get rather bad, and it's all going to be to force you to join this bug money. So you get your bug money, man, your bug money. Silent weapons for quiet wars, exactly. All operations appear in threes. Well, yeah. No, I did know quite a bit about the Trinity, but not the earlier one, but I can't remember. No, I did know some interesting stuff about that from way back. It's not coming to the fore. Quantum.gov. Can you file with federal court to take control of the fictitious entity they created? Yeah, you can. I have a friend that's almost completed that very thing, but you're still involved with the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States. You have to basically get an EIN number and you have to open your own bank account, basically. And you then can charge anything that you income, so cars, all your bills. You, instead of paying the bill, you receive a receipt and then you pay it through your bank account that way. So yes, you can. Seek, what's he called? Patrick. I forgot his name. It might come to me. I can put that video up if you like. It's an interesting video, but there's a lot more involved than what he just speaks about on the video. And as I said, I have a friend who's going through that, and it's not concluded yet, so we have to wait and see how that works. Yeah, but you can do this kind of stuff. But ultimately, you want to become the executor of the trust. And when you've got the title without the surname, you are the executor of the trust. Because it's not a surname. So they can't lay liens against it. They can't put bonds against it. They can't create this system against your estate that way, because you have to remove their role as fiduciary in all aspects of our civil system. So the Navy acts on that, the Admiralty, the military, the government, the Crown, all these, the courts, they're all really just fiduciaries. And the usufruct is the term you would be seeking if you want to understand what it is they're doing with the estates. And then also understand the term hypothecation, which is to hold assets that you put forward as collateral, but the assets can never actually be presented to discharge whatever's created on the back of it. And that basically is the core of this fiat system, this banking system. Yeah. And then through the national trusts and all these reserves, they've nicked the land in this legal system as well. Stock farmers growing, so they've changed the agriculture, they've changed the fisheries, everything. This is the European Union. And a lot of people don't realise, but the European Union was formed in the city. So, if people think that coming out of Europe is going to change anything, you're going to have the shock of your life. What it will do is remove you from perhaps human rights, but it won't give you what you seek, because it's the United Nations that's driving the agendas that you don't like. Yeah, that's the driver of immigration. Yeah, that's the driver of sustainable development. It's the driver of everything that they're pushing now that we don't like, which includes this digital dollar app and, of course, the bug app. What about the Gospel of Thomas? No, because it contradicts so much. I don't want to go into that now. But what I will say, in my opinion, and now I don't claim to be a theological expert, I'm not, but I've been studying it's not just I'll read a book tomorrow. I've studied since 1993 solid, and I've covered a lot of subjects, a lot of cultures, a lot of historical stuff and classics, etc. The thing you've got to really start to try and understand is the chronologies that we operate on came together through a guy called Joseph Scaliger. Now, this guy was a complete fraud in the same way as the creator of the Schofield Bible, Cyrus Schofield was. And basically, the entire chronology that we've operated on for a very long time is the chronology that he gave us. And it's important. See, it's important that we start to realise that history has been written, and it's been being written for quite a long time. Now, which force has completely controlled education since the 1500s? That's been the Jesuits. You've got to see these. When you're following a road looking for a cause, you've got to accept where it leads you. Now, when you've been brought up with one particular religion over another, that becomes a very difficult task if you are trying to seek out the actual truth of the matter. So you're looking for the facts as opposed to the propaganda. Now, the way I used to do that, where you'd read something, and you tend to be reading it from one side of the picture, then I would read the other side. And then, so when you start to read both together, you're starting to see what we're all about, the issues, etc., because they'll miss out a lot that makes them look bad or shows cause for why this did that. And each of them admit those things. That's normal human behavior, isn't it? It's the living in the running away from the consequences. You'll rewrite, you'll project a persona of yourself where you remove things that you think will have consequences that you don't like. So we create a persona around ourselves, and that's what we present to the world. And so the more you think you're a fruit bat, or the system you believe in tells you you're a fruit bat, because everything it's telling you shouldn't be doing is what you really want to be doing, that puts you insular. You're not functioning correctly. You should just say to you, well, that can't be right for me. Because, if you have urges to things, and I'm not talking, we know what the laws are that we've lived under for many thousands of years, and they are good laws because it helps to keep things in a peaceful existence, so you can go about your day to day. That's what we're losing, so that's that. The slavery aspect is going to be coming back. So when you've watched all the Rome films, that system, those lives that people live, that's going to become the norm. That's where they're pushing this. Well, of course, the coal will be, it'll be as profitable as they can manage. And of course, you've got to really take on board. They've been moving euthanasia. You're worth more to them dead than alive organs, people. The organ industry is huge. And big money is being generated on the sale of your loved one's organs. You're not getting any money. You're not getting a bean out of it. They've got you excited. I'm carrying this, blah, 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 blah. Well, all right, carry it. Your family ain't going to make a bean out of your dead body. You don't, if you die tomorrow, then what you should have in your will is don't put me anywhere near a doctor or an hospital. Build a bonfire in your yard and burn me on that. Okay, well, having jollies and singing thankful for that is gone. Yeah, don't be putting in these fancy caskets that, I'm not even going to go into that. But Vikings have it right. Get you on a boat. Oh yeah, just build a fire and throw me on it. I'll be gone. Just make sure you got some tires on it underneath like that. You make sure it's gone. Do it at night and they can't see smoke. But you know what I'm saying? The money they make, you can't even die now where it costs you some money. They're doing a lot with gravestones as well, and that has something to do with estates. And a guy about 12 years ago did contact me and started to explain this to me. And I can't remember what it were, but it were quite startling what they are actually doing when they take over graveyards, remove gravestones, change things. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's to do with the legal side of title, etc. estate. So that's not what somebody might know something about. And if you do, please send me an email. I'd like to remember that so we can put it out there and we don't forget these things. Well, you're saying perhaps we can tokenize title. Well, that's what Christianity was originally. That's what controlled all that system. And as long as it were operating under the protocols, it worked well. So what you're asking for is, without knowing it when you say that, is you're saying we need to go back to the biblical. And we do, as a format, but we don't need the the way religion has become, because it's just not what it's supposed to be about. And the religions that exist today are the very means of dragging us all into this nonsense, because you're in the no consequences and fear, and so you're listening to that because it's bringing no consequences and fear. And as we breached in the interview with Adam, as I said, but I don't think it was heard, but if you can't, so he broke it up into the avoidance consequences and then the other getting out there and doing something. And he was saying that there's not that many out there and doing something, and you can spot them. Well, what I was basically saying, well, yeah, and those out there doing something have been mentored by the secret societies, who are also making sure there are no consequences for them. They've got them for money, they're fine. They need money, they've got it. You've got them if they go in court, they've got it back sorted, they own it. They're covering them people. So these people are not entrepreneurs, they're puppets. So your Euro garages, that's your brothers that have just bought the Asda. That's who these people are, puppets. Puppets to drag you into something your own religion teaches you have to annihilate if you're a Muslim. Okay. Like I said, I've read Quran, I know exactly what it says. But I don't have a problem with the Quran in the sense that the Quran was created for Muslims when they lived where they lived. And there's nothing wrong with it as a day-to-day, how to live kind of thing. The problem is it's not where it's meant to be. But it does allow for that, because it's clear that you have to abide by the laws of the nation that you're in, not government policy. That ignorance, another breach of Quran, which is to seek knowledge, that's a consequence of not seeking the knowledge. And that is on you spiritually. You can hide and say, yeah, it's right. No, it's not. If you believe in Islam, if you believe in your prophet, you believe in God, that doesn't wash, because you're being judged spiritually there. So to pretend, you're only fooling yourself. Just as those that join Zionism fooled themselves. This is how it's work. And now we're at a point in West where religion's pretty much made sure everybody's left, because it's not operating according to the doctrine it claims to purport. It doesn't necessarily mean that we should throw out the doctrines, because that's what built civilization as we understand it, not as it's become and what they've created, but as we understand the civilization. We have to accept that it's biblical. It's based in the biblical tradition and the biblical laws. You know, this besmirching of it is because the Talmud has come in to intercede between you and your map and reality that was born from the original ethos that you were born into. So it's not Christianity, even though the Talmud is pretending that it is. It's not. You've jumped off that and you're under the Talmud. So if you want to own your own DNA again, then you just become in the image of God, which is the doctrine of the Bible. It's not the doctrine of the Talmud. The doctrine of the Talmud is that only the Jews are in the image of God. Everybody else is unclean and has to be eradicated. That's everybody else, people. Not kafir. Not even Muslims, not Christians, not Buddhists, not Hindus, not your tribes, not your Aborigines. You are all born of Adam, the biblical Adam. You have to be eradicated. It might not be looking like that's happening tomorrow, but as I've said, as it moves, boom, 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 then that's not me telling you that. That's their doctrines that I've read, that I have listened to rabbis parroting now today in Israel, and wherever they've got Chabad Lubavitch in place. So that's Russia. That's the Philippines. There's a lot going on in the Philippines that people need to be aware of, because they're actually trying to form this Noahide system amongst the population there, while the king plays with his whores in Germany, while the bug and the bug money is thrust upon the populations. Silver for the third temple. Yeah. Now, somebody has started to present the possibility that Trump could be being presented as the war messiah to this third temple script. I'll say this, if that's the case, and I have to say, with what he's done in the Middle East, I would say that that is the case, or at least this administration, that he will get into this next election, which could end up being Pence. It's the war against the West that they're talking about, and that what Trump will lead, unfortunately, to install an oxide system. It's important that you get it, because we can always stop this. This can be stopped. Throw the smartphone away. Throw it away. It cancels out everything that they're moving in these new systems. Just be happy to have a normal phone and buy a bloody computer. You know, you can't play COD 4 all day, can you, when you work and you do your day-to-day? No, you do your day-to-day, then you go home and you play your COD 4. Just consider that as a mechanic. Try it, because the more people that do it, the better. You're on call to everybody's whim and willy with that smartphone in your hand all day. Yeah, it manages the symptoms. It actually manages the symptoms without addressing what it is you went in there for. Because the symptoms that they're addressing are the side effects of the nonsense that they're giving you. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't use your smartphone, don't. That's good. It's sensible. It is sensible, you know. I do have a smartphone, but of course I've blocked any apps. Most of the apps in this are turned off, and it's the Chinese stuff. And I have to be honest, up until Boris announced they were kicking Yui out, this phone were amazing. But the day that he said that, I knew that Intel were all over this phone. So whatever was done that day, I believe the deal we done was give full access to GCHQ to Huey phones. Or maybe it's just mine. Maybe they just have to. Do you love me that much, MI5? Well, I don't love you back. I don't like it. You've caused me far too many problems. And that's it. Evening, mate. Jason Andrew. Evening to you, my friend. Tackle Bay Tourist. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Yeah, and look at all these young uns. The cock is the one-eyed king, because they're obsessed with porn and pulling it. Are they? They're obsessed with porn, so they can pull it. The one-eyed king. I don't know. Jesuit theatre. Well, but it's not just the Jesuits, but yeah, they are the Templars rebirth as they took over the Vatican. Holy, you got to look at these knightly orders. Not the Knights of Malta originally, but that was forced to subvert the Jesuits in 1794, I think, under Napoleon's sword. But the Holy See have run these operations. So the Templars, which were Jewish French aristocrats. You remember the Knights, chivalric order in England was the Knights Hospitaller. That's where the battle was. Once the Templars had got into Scotland through Robert the Bruce invited them. You know, and you know, you watch Braveheart. Either Mel Gibson is dumbass, or he's programmed, seriously programmed, and I'd say Jesuit programmed, and has been all along. Great actor, and as a man, I love the guy for his acting. He's amazing, but you look at his films, and you know the what's it called? That that William Wallace film. Complete nonsense. Absolute bollocks. All of it. William Wallace were a bloodline. You know, he weren't no numpty coming up from nothing. Becoming an Islamic State. Well, it's not Islamic, it's kafir. This is what I'm trying to get across to people. Now, you know, like you've got Tommy Robinson running around, okay? Now, all he's doing is trying to accumulate English anger, you know, the English instinct to be nationalistic, and which I have nothing wrong with at all. You need to be nationalistic if you want to keep your country together. But he works for Israel. He's not shy about it. So I'm not calling him names. What I'm saying to you is the guy is telling you who he operates for. You've got to start to see that kind of stuff. So whatever it is they're going to try and accomplish through Tom isn't going to bring you what it is you think you want. It's not. It's going to serve this no-wide system. Digital dollars is setting up a fraud system by Pelosi. Yeah, well, they introduced it while we were in lockdown. Because like I said, they've been pulling loads of stuff out while everybody's focused to the mask. I'm just wondering now, once you get another stinting kennel, when you come out, are you all going to be sniffing each other's asses like dogs? Is that the next stage in this devolution of the human? Are you going to start sniffing piss on lampposts and things like that? Because I have to say, if that happens, it would be a be me the fuck up Scotty time, because that would be. And I mean, it sounds ridiculous, I have to say, and I do. I know I'm being extremely ridiculous, but so did everybody walking around wearing mass social distancing and staying in kennel on command only 9 months ago. So keep that in mind, people. You know, how far are you going to go down this road just to keep yourselves in that running away from consequences? So, and of course, the New World Order agenda is being rebranded as the Great Reset. Yeah, green reset. So, no more cars. Yeah. Look, the smart meters now, they've given the okay for smart meters to now operate your appliances in your home. So, they're going to determine what appliances you can use at what hours based on your carbon credit account. Did you get that? Your smart meters that you've had installed because you're not savvy has been given the go-ahead to download software, I presume. Let's hope they need another metering to do it, but in general terms, it will probably be a software update to manage your electrical appliances and electricity use in your home, but also your boiler because it needs electricity. Yeah? Can you see? That's been given the go-ahead. So you're going to have a smart app telling you that you've got a cold or a snivel, AIDS, Ebola, the plague, cancer, and all the rest of the nonsense that they make a fortune out giving you poisons to manage. They've got an app now where it's money that's not yours, it's credited to you if you download that app. The Bug Money app. And all this. It's not good. It's not good. I mean, I'm looking now and watching people. This just doesn't make sense to me at the moment. Maybe I'm missing something, but phone goes to the money payment thing. Then that's done. And I thought, oh, they've paid on the phone. No. Card comes out, that's right. It's it. And I think, oh, they paid for it. And then phone comes out and it's it. Oh, I've just thought, are they getting points on the phone? So can you see how it's Costa Coffee, McDonald's, I don't know what KFC are doing, but it's all these big American Federal Reserve companies forcing this system. Test and trace. Yeah. So each time you as a business obey, shut, take the money, the digital dollar. So that's going to set you up to this account, remember, as well. Taking money, the bug money. The bug money, man, it's the bug money. That's going to set you up on this. So take note of which companies are doing it. And as you just said, the Asda has just been taken over by the Kafir Front. Yeah. It's where it's going. They're pushing it like mad. And it's good that people are awake to it. Not everybody is falling ignorantly into this insanity. And I haven't worn a mask. I haven't given flying monkeys about any of this nonsense anywhere and everywhere that I've been. Apart from Winfields in Haslingden. Why that moiety? Don't use Wi-Fi, stick to the wired internet. Because I'll answer that if you don't mind. The Wi-Fi is a frequency that is the same utilized by parts of your body, your system. And they're aimed specifically neurologically. So you've got NLP being used to do it through language, change your program. And the Wi-Fi is the frequency method doing exactly the same thing. Both using carrier wave. One uses language, the other uses the Wi-Fi frequency, the Lily wave itself. So if you're watching a television program, you're watching the internet now, this signal is being carried on a carrier wave, the Lily wave. Important you grasp what that is. It's very important, very dangerous. So they're attacking you from, and the Wi-Fi system is the danger. Now these masks that they're putting up now, it's the advance in power of the signal that's the problem. So I think some numpty put a comment on the little video I had up on the mask, calling me a muppet because he said I were using 4G, blah, blah, blah. No, listen, muppet, you were right, you are a muppet. This technology that they're setting up now, as you can see, the different masts, because it's a different technology. Yeah? It's not 4G, it's not 3G, it's not 2G. It's a completely different technology. And it's amplified to such a huge difference. 2.4 gigahertz we're on now on 4G. 2.4. The 5G starts at 30 gig, which they also need to run the Internet of Things. So that's what these big towers are for. That's running, it piggybacks on the 4G network, but the 4G network's still there, the 3G network's still operational. This is a piggyback, completely different system, and it's a military application, radar surveillance tracking system. That's what it is. This is what they've been using in Iraq. This is what they've been building in Iraq. This is what they've been building in Afghanistan. This method by which soldiers are being put in as a company or a platoon, and they're being guided by somebody in a little cabin on a computer who can bring drones in. So it's transferring warfare into COD 4. Get that? That makes sense. So I don't use Wi-Fi. I have hardwired my computer. It's faster. And if somebody wants to break into my system, they have to break into the Ethernet. If the Wi-Fi is on and I'm using the Wi-Fi, you just have to tap into the Wi-Fi system, and it's all, you're an open book. Forget your encoding and nonsense. It might keep numpties out, but NSA, which is GCHQ, which is Crown Temple, which is the company, the Jesuits, the East India Company, the Virginia Company. Yeah, there's thousands of them. It's not just the East India. You were sending them all over. South Africa Company. The company is the Jesuits. That's what they call themselves. The company. That's what the Virginia Company is. That's what the East India Companies were. Using the British naval ensign. That's what we did. Yeah, that's how we got tied in. But it was set up by the monarch. But it was a trading company then. It wasn't what it became once the Hanoverians got their hands on it, especially when the Rothschilds started pushing their NOAD to push to NOAD. Then it became a monster. Yeah. And when they gave you independence, it was only because they'd set up the secret society system in your country. So they give you the idea that you're independent. But no, the secret society is the power. That's where the power is. That's why you don't find it if you're looking through normal channels. The power resides with the secret societies because they're placing their people in all the positions, in all nations that have the levers of power. So, you've been made independent from the British government. But no, you haven't, actually. But that was the ethos of it. You are independent of the British government, but not of and the policy, but not of the crown, because the secret societies are running your independent government. And John Coleman's explained well that we are. They've been installing communist regimes everywhere they go forever. Yeah, but everybody thinks that London is the capital hell of the world. Well, they are the ones installing the communist regimes. The blood and guts stuff, the Cambodia. These things that happen. Rwanda. That's what's going on there. It's not any nation, because the United Nations is umbrella in this. And since the United Nations were formed, there's never been a declaration of war. Because instead of it being a war, it's a managed situation. So the United Nations will manage the governments. But I think money should be the way to go for us minions, because it's everywhere. Silver is quite easy to find, and America is full of it, which is the main reason they had to get America off the silver dollar. America is loaded with silver mines, with silver untapped. So is Canada, which is why Queen's off there. St. Harry first. I mean, that's where they've gone. People are talking about seeing lookalikes, clones of. I have to say, before that we mentioned, might have been last year actually, Charles made a video and I thought, that's a very strange Charles. And I've seen the same Charles that just looks very odd. The way to find with Charles is look at his hands. He has very strange, very large hands. So that'd be a way to go. So maybe that is what's happening. They've got, lookalikes in and they've buggered off while this thing goes, just like Charles II did before 1666 fire and then the plague that followed. Thomas, how are you doing, Dan? You all right, mucker? No, none of my kids had a vaccine either. Good, well, you see, this is another thing, we never look at what we have in common, Muslims and Christians. Muslims don't let the kids get taught porn. They don't let the kids get taught homosexuality. They scorn homosexuality as the norm. We have a lot in common. They're not eating all this shit that you're eating in your supermarkets. That shows some kind of sensibility to me. It's the kafir system that is the problem, not necessarily the real Muslims. And I know real Muslims, and they are real people, the men. The men, we have a lot in common, guys. And, the Quran's plain that in the end times, Christians and Muslims will fight together. But that can only happen once both Christians and Muslims have sussed the game. Do you get what I'm saying? The game has to be sussed both by Christians and Muslims to work out where this is coming from. Because that's the point when they'll work together. It won't be because of any other reason that they've come to realise that truth. Yeah? And I think it's time that we started to massage that very need for Muslims and Christians to start realizing that we need each other, which is why the priesthood wants us to go to war first. It cancels out all their enemies. That's what it does. This is why they're doing this. This is why Euro garages have been given the Asda. You know, it's not a fluke. It's not God. This is strategy. And I can't stress it enough. Rich versus poor world. Well, this is how you know it's a false judgment, Tonga, because the judgment is based on how much mammon you have. Now, when I were around these people back in the 90s, the talk that they had were, well, if you haven't got £1 million, you're worthless. Their whole ethos is based on how well you accumulate money. And the more dastardly and deceptive you've been, the more kudos that gives you. So that's the kind of mindset you're dealing with this nonsense. And the Muslim Brotherhood is a big aspect of the secret society and the Aga Foundation. Again, these are crown corporate operatives operating in your countries. So Pakistan, you've got Yomon, what's he called? Khan, can't remember his name. He's crown corporate. He's not anything to do with England. It's nothing to do with Islam. He's one of these that's been picked up. This is how it's going. This is how it works. So we do need to start massaging this idea that Muslims and Christians start coming together on this shit. Because we have more in common if we actually think about it than... We have nothing in common with this kafir system, but neither do you Muslims, because Quran's very clear about how you have to deal with kafir. Clear. Christians need to understand it's the kafir system, not Islam, not Muslims as the communities that I know. You know, I know a lot of Muslim people, and they want the same things as we want. And when I say I'm saying Protestant, Catholics. We want the same thing as people. It's the institutions that are dragging us into this nonsense because they've been co-opted, and the scripts that are being pushed out are false, they're fake, it's nonsense. It's all a move to push us into this one world religion under the priesthood, who has to eradicate everything and everybody born of the biblical Adam. You know, that's how important the game is. Hey up, Anne-Marie. Hello, Anne-Marie. Oh, I know who you are, Anne-Marie. I think Danny the Thomas has told me about that. Stick the mask where they must. Well done, my good friend, because that's exactly what I'm doing, and I've done since it began. 5G millimeter waves, a military weapon, beamforming phase, gamma skin penetrating. Exactly. It's a completely different system to the 4G, and it piggybacks on the network. Hello, Sean, Anton Capine. Hello, Anton. Donny says he's not bad from Leeds Rally. Oh, did you get up there? Coppers were heavy-handed at the end. One pepper spray, who hit a 7-year-old with it. With the GMP police or with the Leeds at Yorkshire's constabulary? Because it was GMP that wrecked the last protest they had in London. Metropolitan Police were all right, and they were all quite steady, and then they brought in GMP with 2 private security. So the private security, you know, they don't have numbers. If they don't have numbers on and they're trying to get you shit, knock them out. That's English law, that, because they're operating contrary to realm. They're impersonating a police constable. Knock them out and arrest them. Yeah, that's the only way these people are going to learn. They're putting private security in police uniforms. Get a grip with it. That's the realm. That's the realm, the English realm. Okay, I know we all understand it as the British realm, which is why I use the term British realm, because that's how the Scots understand it. That's how them sheepshaggers know it. You know, well, I don't think they give a shit, to be honest. But you know what I'm saying to you. This is how we understand it. So I use the term the British realm because that's how we understand it. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty, it's the English realm. That is a fact. So anyway, we'll get off that. It's a testosterone boosting herb. I use it for training. What are you using? Oh, I missed that. Yeah, testosterone's good. Just don't take the synthetic, would be my advice. But you can boost your testosterone levels just by eating certain foods. It's like cholesterol. They've got everybody on these statins wrecking the cholesterol. Your brain, the matter of your brain is made out of cholesterol. They don't tell you this. Your reproductive system is made out of collateral. Okay, when you're out of an age, you're not bothered about your reproductive system. But that's why you can't get a Jolly Roger. It's the statins, right? But what they don't tell you that is important, and that you're all falling for left, right, and centre, is if your body cannot reproduce the brain cells and matter, you're going to get Alzheimer's, or you're not. You don't need statins, and you certainly don't need to be bothering with your cholesterol. The best thing you could do is start to come off statins slowly and eat boiled eggs. There's tons of cholesterol in boiled eggs, tons of it. I think they probably don't have to be boiled, but boiled, they do say, is the way to take it to boost your cholesterol levels if you need to do it quick. Yeah, Yorkshire Police, right, fair enough. So Glasgow's got the 5G masts as well, yeah. Also, nice security working on close Glasgow City Council, South Clyde University to predict crime for. Yeah. I'm hearing calls for that to be demolished and stopped, by the way. So there are some sensible people moving to have that predictive crime thing, AI, quashed. I know Glasgow. I've never been, but I had a really good mate from Glasgow back in the late 80s, early 90s when I worked at Lang's. Yeah, I got to learn a lot about how Scotland. And I'll tell you what, you boys you've been police stated for a long time because of your football from the 70s. I mean, they've had you hammered down for a long time. So I do know where you're coming from. And it doesn't surprise me that they've got the 5G mass all over the shop. Well, exactly. You need cholesterol. It's something you need. You need it. They're trying to lower potassium now also as a medical intervention. Your first sign you've got a lack of potassium is if you get cramp a lot. Cramp is a lack of potassium. So bananas, it's full of it. But there's all sorts of stuff full of it. For instance, if you need to alkaline your body. So if you've got cancer, you need to be alkaline in your body because cancer can't exist in alkaline conditions. It can only exist in acidic because it's a fungus. So you need to alkaline your body quick. Peel a cucumber and eat it. If it takes all day, just eat it. It alkalines your body. These are the ways you need to be looking after your own health. You know, most of the conditions you've got is because your body is to the acidic. All sorts go amiss when that's going on. And additives in your food and the medications you're taking are all ensuring that your body stays acidic. Blocking the UV from the sun, that's affecting your vitamin D production, from which many, many conditions do come. You don't want to be on grains too much either because they've got lectins in, natural lectins. That's nature's poison, so that the seeds don't get eaten by the wrong animals. That's why they've got everybody on seeds. Everything that's doing you damage as opposed to doing you good is what they've got you on. And if they can get you off meat altogether, win-win. Carbohydrates. Yeah, they do play a big part. But candida is another one, yeast infection. Because it takes so long to show itself in a startling way, it's a big killer. And it doesn't get labelled as a yeast infection. Now, I do turpentine if I want to deal with that. But I don't seem to have that problem these days, to be honest. I did when I ate a lot of bread. But I think it started way, way back in the 80s when I used to go to gym and I started to take yeast and liver tablets, which were trainers sort of thing. And I don't think that did me any good, the yeast. I think I got a yeast infection from that time on. But I've been working to get rid of it for quite a number of years. And I do think I might be getting there. But the turpentine is fantastic for yeast. But as Americans are showing you, if you you see, to get rid of yeast and cancers, you need to get a solvent in your body. Because a solvent doesn't, It doesn't respect all the blood barriers that go on in your body to stop certain fluids going into mixing. Solvent just goes through the lot, and it annihilates yeast, it annihilates candida, and it also annihilates fungus. So if you get to a point where all of a sudden you've been diagnosed with cancer, it's not the end of the world. There's lots of things you can do. Hemp oil is amazing. I mean, I do provide that for people and animals. It works as a treat on your animal. Your animal's old and it's starting to get big lumps here and everywhere. You need hemp oil. It'll come back to being a puppy within 24 hours. I kid you not. And I'm not just telling you that I've read it. That's proven science that I've witnessed because I've supplied it to people for it. So there's all sorts of things. You just got to jump out of that fear of consequences and say, stop that. I want to get to grips with these consequences, so I'm managing them myself, and looking after your health is probably the main one, I would suggest. Okay. Now, water distillers, I'm not so sure about distilled water because it doesn't conduct electricity. And a big part of you being healthy is that your chi flows. So if you get 2 cups of water, you put sugar in one and a good salt in another. Put diodes in. Put it in the salt, it'll amplify and go ballistic. Put it with the sugar and it dims the electricity. So sugar, I'm talking about white sugar, it depletes the electrical power in your body. A good source of salt does the opposite. So you need to keep your electricity, and distilled water doesn't conduct electricity very well. That's worth keeping in mind, Colloidal silver as well, I'll be careful with that. Because you're buying a health product, and these health products are laced with silicone dioxide, which is a polymer, which is quartz. So take into consideration these masks are putting up for this 5G surveillance. Quartz holds electricity. You can program quartz crystals as a magician, right? It holds electricity. So if they're filling your body with quartz, you're becoming a transmitter and receiver of this technology. Your phone becomes obsolete if they get enough of this polymer in you. Now, in America, they called it Morgellons. It's not Morgellons, it's polymers that reproduce. And the sort of agreed possible game with that is that they're building a polymer system within you so that when they get these robots, this nanotechnology in you, the polymers in you become a biological system that these bots operate them with this AI test and trace nonsense system. And that eventually that will take over your biological system, which means it takes over your nervous system, it takes over your body function. So this is where they're looking at the transhuman robot biological system creatures through this polymer. So be careful. Silicone dioxide, and the E number is E551. Now, it's in all your coffees. These special coffees you get, these lattes, in fact, full of it. You've really got to look for this silicon dioxide because they're pumping you up with quartz polymer that expands like threads. And all your health products that you're getting from the likes of Holland & Barrett have got it in. Not every product they have, but majority of them have it in. They use it as a thickener, I think, a thickener agent. This is an important ingredient that you need to stop putting into your body. And it's in all your kind of supplement stuff. So, but just check silicon dioxide E551 to look out for. You don't want it. So it's deionized, which doesn't. Right, thanks for clearing that up because I will check that out because I have been actually thinking of getting a distiller or some kind of sting because I'm noticing the Evian now, it's a miss as to whether it's been imported. Yeah, making your own colloidal silver is good. Yeah, exactly. Make it. You can make it yourself, but when you're purchasing, you're obviously going to be getting something else. And silicon dioxide is a big thing that they've been pushing since the 60s, believe it or not. And they've pushed it more so in health products because you're going to take them, especially in America. They have, but I mean, it's getting to that now. So yeah, be extra careful. Silicon dioxide, you don't want it. You do not want it. There's another one I'm looking at as well, but I'm not sure that it's a quartz, but I'm checking it out. If that's the case, I'll put that on the website. Right, I think with that, chaps, I'm going to call that a day. I could do with a fag, and I hope the digital dollar, just getting that in the mix is important, because we need to look at that. We need to start to fully understand what it is. So you guys out there, researchers, let's pull that together. And please, if you find out interesting, send it me. It's good because it works well on these videos. It's good subject matter that I can then present to you as a whole. So what I'll say is have a good remaining Sunday evening, and till the next time. There might be a slight break, but keep your chin up and your peck around. See you later, chaps.